Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. This is the second on the triathlon of episodes I have for you this morning, and there are 5 articles in this episode. All of the URLs are listed in the description of the video for your convenience. The first one here is off of BizPack Review, and it says, "Guess who has immunity from subpoena now? Poll could impede review of Clinton email probe." Key Department of Justice officials may escape being interviewed in the DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz's review of the FBI's investigation of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's use of a homebrew email server to do official government business. Inspectors General only have authority to compel current government employees to comply with interview requests under the Inspector General Act. So they are unable to force testimony from officials like Attorney General Loretta Lynch and Assistant Attorney General for Legislative Affairs Peter Kadzik once they leave office, along with President Barack Obama, potentially leaving Horowitz to deal with gaping holes in his review. Once they're gone, the IG has no jurisdiction over them. Former U.S. Attorney Joe DeGeneva told the Daily Caller News Foundation investigative group. Horowitz announced Thursday he is investigating whether DOJ and the FBI broke federal policy in handling the Clinton email investigation in the months leading up to the presidential election. Horowitz is focusing on allegations that the FBI Director James Comey's July public speech and subsequent congressional letters about the case broke procedure, that Comey should have recused himself from the case, that Kadzik improperly disclosed non-public information to Clinton's campaign, among other matters. Comey hasn't announced any intention to leave the FBI, so the IG can still compel his testimony as current official. Former officials must hand over any records the IG requests and may voluntarily appear for interviews, but they aren't required to provide testimony, according to the congressional testimony Horowitz gave in 2015. Congress passed and President Barack Obama signed a law in December clarifying and strengthening the IG powers, but Congress eliminated language in the IG Empowerment Act that would have granted the IG the authority to compel interviews from former employees so the bill could pass, according to Elizabeth Hempowitz, Policy Counsel for the Project on Government Oversight, called POGO. At one point, the legislation contained a provision that would have allowed testimonial subpoena power for all IGs. However, that part was taken out to clear the way for the bill to pass at the end of the last Congress, she told the DCNF. Horowitz previously told Congress how his inability to subpoena testimony from former DOJ employees impedes investigations. While the IG Act provides us with the ability to subpoena documents and records from those individuals, we're unable to require them to provide testimony, even though they have critical evidence of fraud of agency misconduct, Horowitz told the U.S. Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs in February of 2015. I have seen several instances during my tenure as Inspector General where former employees of the department, including those who resigned or retired immediately prior to the DOJ OIG interview. Contractors and grant recipients have refused to speak with the DOJ IG, thereby impeding our ability to gather potentially valuable and relevant evidence. Horowitz has not made a public timeline for the review. The next article I have for you is off of Technocracy News, and it says Obama opens NSA's warrantless data to entire intelligence community. Technocracy lives on big data as a monitoring system for social steerage, which is called governance. Too much data is an oxymoron to a technocrat, says the TN editor. With only days until Donald Trump takes office, the Obama administration on Thursday announced new rules that will let the NSA share vast amounts of private data gathered without warrant, court orders, or congressional authorization with 16 other agencies, including the FBI, the Drug Enforcement Agency, and the Department of Homeland Security. The new rules allow employees doing intelligence work for those agencies to sift through raw data collected under a broad Reagan-era executive order that gives the NSA virtually unlimited authorities to intercept communications abroad. Previously, NSA analysts would filter out information they deemed irrelevant and mask the names of innocent Americans before passing it along. The change was in the works long before there was any expectation that someone like Trump might become president. The last-minute adoption of the procedures is one of many examples of the Obama administration making new executive powers established by the British administration permanent on the assumption that the executive branch could be trusted to police itself. Executive Order 12333, often referred to as the 12333, has attracted less debate than congressional wiretapping laws, but serves as authorization for the NSA's most massive surveillance programs, far more than the NSA's other programs combined. Under 12333, the NSA taps phones and internet backbones through the world, records records the phone calls of entire countries, vacuums up traffic from Google and Yahoo's data centers overseas, and more. In 2014, the Intercept revealed that NSA issues 12333 as a legal basis for an internal NSA search engine that spans more than 850 billion phone and internet records and contains the unfiltered private information of millions of Americans. In 2014, a former State Department official described NSA surveillance under 12333 as a universe of collection and storage beyond what Congress has authorized. NSA whistleblowers Edward Snowden, who gave reporters documents that revealed the breadth of the 12333 surveillance, tweeted, "As he hands the White House to Trump, Obama just unchained NSA from basic limits on passing raw intercepts to others." As the rule change made its way through the review process, Robert Litt, the top lawyer for the intelligence community, publicly explained the rationale. The rules respond to the widely recognized lesson learned from 9/11 attacks that intelligence should not be stovepiped by intelligence agencies, but should be shared responsibly within the intelligence community. But this massive database inevitably includes vast amounts of American communities swept up when they speak to people abroad, when they go abroad themselves, or even if their domestic communications are simply routed abroad. That's why access was previously limited to data that had already been screened to remove unrelated information and information identifying U.S. persons. The new rules will ostensibly limit access to authorized foreign intelligence and counterintelligence purposes, not ordinary law enforcement purposes, and require screening before they are more widely shared, but privacy activists are skeptical. And there is a link where you can click to read the full story on that, but that gives you the basics right there. The next one we have is off of BizPac Review, and it says, violent left-wing thugs scare UC Davis into canceling speech. Milo says officials are lying to the press now. Rowdy protesters shut down an event at UC Davis, forcing the cancellation of a speech by conservative commentator Milo Yiannopoulos. Protests erupted at the University of California, Davis campus on Friday as crowds pushed back the security and through barricades, shouting and waving signs. And there is video in this, several videos, as a matter of fact. So you can pull those up and take a look at those at your leisure. This is objecting to planned speeches by Yiannopoulos and controversial pharmaceutical executive Martin Shkreli. Protesters faced off with organizers of the event, the UC Davis College Republicans, in heated exchange outside the lecture hall. And there's some tweets in this, and the article goes on and says, the decision was made initially because the lives of officers were threatened, the lives of students were threatened, as well as the property of the school. College Republicans Executive Director Andrew Mendoza told KCRA-TV. Breitbart tech editor Yiannopoulos posted on his Facebook page that the event was canceled due to violence from the left-wing protesters. Protesters hurled obscenities and insults at Shrekley, who emerged from the lecture hall at one point. It's disgusting, Shrekley told CNN affiliate KOVR. Positivism about having a conversation, or try that again, progressivism is about having a conversation. In a statement, Interim Chancellor Ralph J. Hexter said he was deeply disappointed with the protests. Our community is founded on principles of respect for all views, even those that we personally find repellent. As I have stated repeatedly, a university is at its best when it listens to and critically engages in opposing views, especially ones that many of us find upsetting or even offensive, he said. Appearances by Yiannopoulos have sparked protests at the other locations as he travels on a college speaking tour. On Friday, he took to his Facebook page to point out that the UC Davis College Republicans were not the ones who decided to shut down Friday's event. And he puts in his Facebook page, UC Davis is lying to the press. They keep saying that the college Republicans were the ones to shut down the event last night. Not true. My staff were in meetings with the campus police and university administrators last night, and we were told by them that the event could not proceed. We will be pursuing this matter further. Left-wing thugs scare UC Davis into canceling my events last night by damaging property, hurling excrement at guests, and starting fights, Yiannopoulos wrote. It was the university and campus police department who told us we cannot go ahead. Why is the university and its police force trying to pretend otherwise? Who are they trying to protect? He invited followers to join him at the college to protest the cancellation of the event. And that Facebook says, come on, or come join us at 1 p.m. today in the quad at UC Davis to protest the university's pathetic failure to protect free speech. The next one I have is off the Conservative Tribune, and it says California can stop the wall from being built with environmental lawsuit. Over the past few weeks, President-elect Donald Trump has been doubling down on his campaign promises to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border and to make Mexico pay for it eventually. It appears that California may be pulling out all the stops in an attempt to stop the border wall. Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom explained that California could use some environmental regulations in an attempt to delay or stop the wall, the LA Times reported. Using the California Environmental Quality Act or similar federal act, California could sue the Trump administration to delay the building of the wall. There is something called the CEQA in California, NEPA, National Environmental Policy Act, at the federal level, Newsom, who is planning to run for governor in 2018, explained. There's indigenous lands and autonomies related to governance on those lands. There are all kinds of obstructions as it relates to just getting zoning approval and getting building permits. All those things could be made very, very challenging for the administration. California has successfully used CEQA to block various developments from occurring internally, but it's unclear how a lawsuit would stand up in federal court. And there is video in this if you want to pull that up to take a look at that. I'm going to try to get it stopped here so that it doesn't play through me trying to read. There we go. It says, while we do believe in states' rights, in this case, the state of California is just plain wrong. The federal government, not the individual states, is charged with protecting this country. Plus, we all know that California wouldn't be filing this lawsuit out of genuine concern for the environment or concern about the effectiveness of a wall. They would be doing it because they don't like Trump and want to stop his agenda, regardless of how good it would be for Americans. There's undoubtedly many people in California who benefit from illegal immigration and will be quite upset when Trump's border wall is built and the flow of cheap illegal labor has died down, but we're confident Trump will overcome their objections. And the final one in this episode is off of the Conservative Tribune. It says, breaking. President surrenders. We'll pay. President-elect Donald Trump might as well have been in office for the past month. His latest accomplishment already overshadows Barack Obama did in the past 8 years. Building a wall on our southern border was a cornerstone of Trump's campaign platform, and he insisted that Mexico would pay for it. Despite repeated denials, Mexico has now seemed to be itching toward that inevitability. The ambassadors at consuls yesterday, Mexican President Enrique Pena Nieto said that Mexico will invest in modernizing and increasing security along the border, according to El Financiero. That sounds like an awful lot. They're getting ready to pay for the wall, while saving face as they approach Trump's hard line in the sand. If Mexico really believed the wall was a no-go, they wouldn't be offering anything at all. Mexico has a lot to lose if border security is tightened. Mexicans in the U.S. currently send home some $25 billion in remittances each year. Stopping the flow of cash would prove devastating to the Mexican economy, and Pena Nieto said he would work to maintain the free flow of remittances, according to Malaysia's Sun Daily. At his New York news conference yesterday, Donald Trump doubled down on his pledge to build the wall sooner rather than later and to keep American jobs from heading to Mexico. While he was speaking, the value of the Mexican peso plunged to a new record low versus the U.S. dollar, according to CNBC. And there is more video in this if you want to pull it up to take a look at that. And I'm trying to get it shut down here so I can go on. There we go. Yeah, that was the end of the article, but you can pull it up and take a look at the video if you want to. If you like what we're doing here, give it a thumbs up and share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news and stays informed. Please be sure and subscribe. Check that little bell next to the subscription button and check the box in that little pop-up, and that way you'll get email alerts every time I put a show up, and that'll keep you informed. I'll see you in the next episode.